There's an old saying in the independent filmmaking business, when you're paying peanuts, you have to expect some monkeys. I present to you trained chimp number one, Secretary of Defense Secrets, Pete Hegseth. Now, Pete is a good old boy. He loves Jesus, loves bombing people who don't love Jesus, loves bragging about bombing people who don't love Jesus on unsecured communications channels that went straight to Moscow, and loves drinking. Not necessarily in that order. Oh, and he also loves white people. Loves family, especially when they're white, and loves women. A lot of women. Just ask his 2 divorced wives and the woman he sexually assaulted. Pete loves women so much he can't do without them. So is it any surprise that after creating the biggest national security blunder since Benedict Arnold, Pete managed to bungle another security error, this time involving a woman? No, of course it's not a surprise. I'm going to talk about the details of this latest amateur hour security breach by the weekend Fox and Friends host on assignment as Secretary of Defending Trump in just a moment. Because in some ways, this is a surprise. The man is a born bungler, a blowhard, a womanizer, and a drunk. So the fact that he had a twofer on the national security breaches is kind of an accomplishment for Hegseth. Odds makers in Vegas had the over-under at 7. Now, you're probably asking yourself, how is it that Hegseth only managed 2 national security breaches in 1 week? Was he out playing golf with Trump and didn't get enough opportunities? No, the answer lies a little closer to home than that. Pete had a very busy week lying to reporters.
Nobody's texting war plans. No classified information. You know who sees war plans? I see them every single day. My job, as it said atop of that, everybody's seen it now, team update is to provide updates in real time. General updates in real time, keep everybody informed. That's what I did.
And then, on top of that, he had to fill out a bunch of paperwork so that he could illegally hire his brother as a senior advisor and liaison in the DOD. In fact, his brother's official title is Senior Advisor to the Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security and Liaison Officer to the Defense Department. Now, of course, anti-nepotism laws in federal hiring prevent Hegseth from hiring his brother. But first of all, Trump officials are above the law, or Hegseth would be awaiting trial as we speak. And second of all, nepotism laws can be skirted if the individual being hired has unique qualifications. Now, at first sight, Phil doesn't seem to have any qualifications other than creating his own podcasting company and working on podcasts at the Hudson Institute. But his real qualifications stem from his deep undercover work with the CIA in Moscow, where he was planted as a Kremlin chauffeur named Pikov Andropov until he was outed by the leftist buffoons on Car Talk. But clearly, family is important to Hegseth. So important that, as the Daily Mail is reporting, Hegseth created another national security breach by bringing his wife into top-level security meetings. Now, okay, that sounds bad. But before we all go jumping to conclusions, let me just add that his third wife is... Wait, third wife? Or fourth wife? Doesn't matter. The point is, the umpteenth wife of family values man Pete Hegseth was a Fox producer. So that qualifies her as, well, absolutely nothing. But that didn't stop break the mold and all national security protocols Pete Hegseth from bringing her into meetings where she did not belong. The Daily Mail is reporting that photos and eyewitness accounts confirm she was present in secure meeting rooms where the future of NATO military coordination, classified aid to Ukraine, and a reorganization of strategic posturing in Europe were being hashed out behind closed doors. They further report that one of the meetings occurred earlier this month, on March 6th, as Defense Secretary Hegseth walked into a high-level bilateral meeting with UK Secretary of Defense John Healey. Witnesses said Hegseth's wife simply took a seat behind her husband, in full view of military brass, intelligence liaisons, and diplomatic envoys. Furthermore, that meeting's agenda including explaining America's rationale for halting intelligence sharing with Ukraine, a decision that sent shockwaves through Europe, and laying the groundwork for bilateral contingency planning between NATO's top military powers. The other meeting she attended was at NATO headquarters in Brussels, and it occurred as allies were recalibrating their approach to the war in Ukraine and shortly after the U.S. abruptly halted military intelligence sharing with Kyiv. Both gatherings involved sensitive, potentially classified discussions about the future of Western coordination in Ukraine and other regional threats. So once again, the fundamental military rule of information sharing, needs to know basis, was ignored by Hegseth. Mr. But the troops love me cares nothing for the safety and well-being of the troops when it comes to their security. In fact, show me a pilot currently serving in any branch of the service right now who says, yeah, I'm a big fan of Pete Hegseth, and I'll show you a pilot that needs to be transferred to glider duty in case we ever need to invade Normandy again. Which, given the way Trump is acting, could be any month now. In military circles, Hegseth is known as a clown, which is an acronym meaning colonel's lackey or worse, nut job. He's also known as a trained chimp, which, again, is a military acronym standing for complete halfwit, idiot, moron, and prat. And as this new scandal demonstrates, not only is he showing dangerous disregard for the safety and security of our troops, but he's damaging relationships with long-standing allies. They no longer trust sharing sensitive information, and they no longer trust the U.S. as an ally, period. The damage that Hegseth, Trump, and all the cabinet clowns are inflicting is going to take generations to repair. But certainly a good start would be firing Pete Hegseth and throwing his butt in jail. I mean, he's got a bunch of tattoos. How about a jail cell in El Salvador? I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.